Number 10, Peter and MJ's erased marriage. Spider-Man once made a deal with the devil, and he didn't even get a fiddle contest out of it. In One More Day, Peter Parker did the unthinkable. He let Mephisto, Marvel's resident demon landlord, erase his marriage to Mary Jane Watson in exchange for Aunt May's life. Not just end it, erase it, like it never happened. Forget love conquering all. Here, love got snapped out of existence with a puff of hellfire and some editorial regret. After May is shot by a sniper meant for Peter, all thanks to Kingpin, our friendly neighborhood hero goes full Faust. Mephisto offers him a classic monkey paws deal: save May, but lose your marriage. Peter and MJ, utterly wrecked by grief, agree, knowing deep down they'll never remember being husband and wife. But Mephisto will, because he feeds on tragedy like popcorn. Cue Brand New Day, Peter wakes up single, Aunt May is perfectly fine, and no one remembers his Civil War unmasking. MJ's gone from soulmate to awkward ex, everything. Decades of growth, the wedding, even their daughter Mayday in alternate futures is gone like a deleted file. And fans? They were furious. This wasn't just a retcon. It was character assassination by cosmic gaslighting. The fallout was brutal. Peter, once a grown man with adult problems, is back to bumbling through breakups like a sitcom lead. Mary Jane, once his equal partner in crime fighting in life, is demoted to background noise. Writers were boxed in. Either ignore the marriage entirely or tiptoe around it with dream sequences and alternate timelines like Renew Your Vows, which ironically proved what fans already knew: the marriage worked. More than a plot twist, this was a philosophical gut punch. With great power came a wishy-washy magic reset button. One More Day didn't just undo a relationship, it broke reader trust. In trying to recapture old school Spidey vibes, Marvel traded love for nostalgia and ended up with neither. Number 9, Mockingbird's Skrull replacement. Imagine finding out the woman you're married, mourned, and avenged wasn't your wife, but a shape-shifting alien who stole her life, her memories, and even the date of your unborn child's death. That's what happened to Hawkeye during 2009's Secret Invasion, and one of Marvel's cruelest emotional sucker punches. For over a decade of comics, Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird, had been dead. Fans grieved, Hawkeye spiraled, and the Avengers carried on. But when Skrulls began revealing themselves, the woman Clint thought he'd lost came back, with a detail only the real Bobby could have known: October 12th, the due date of their lost child. Convinced by this raw truth, Clint chose love over logic, and it nearly destroyed him. In New Avengers: The Reunion number 2, Marvel revealed the full scope of the betrayal. The real Bobby had been kidnapped back in 1993, replaced off-panel by a Skrull named Herpra. That fake Mockingbird lived among Earth's heroes for years, fought beside them, even died heroically, while Bobby was trapped in a cell in deep space. So when Hawkeye finally learned the truth, he wasn't just grieving his wife all over again, he was grieving the years of false memories, fake closure, and a marriage built on an alien lie. The fallout wasn't just personal. The Avengers realized one of their own had just been an alien spy for 16 years. That kind of betrayal rips holes in trust you can't patch up. Bobby, meanwhile, came back to a world that had moved on without her, with her identity co-opted, her legacy rewritten, and her trauma barely understood. This retcon didn't just rewrite a single storyline, it undermined an entire chapter of Marvel history by asking one terrifying question. What if the person you loved, the hero you trusted, was never real? And worse, what if nobody noticed? Number 8, Lyja the Skrull impersonating Alice Masters. Imagine dating someone for years, falling in love, even marrying them, only to find out they're not who you thought they were. In fact, they're not even human. They're an alien spy wearing an ex's face. That's exactly what happened in Fantastic Four number 357 to 358, when Marvel pulled off one of the most gut-wrenching betrayals in comic book romance. Alicia Masters, the blind sculptor beloved by both Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm, was revealed to be a Skrull named Lyja in deep-covered disguise. For 7 whole years of real-world comics, readers believed Alicia had left Ben and fallen for Johnny. Turns out, The real Alicia had been kidnapped after Secret Wars, and a shape-shifting Skrull agent had taken her place with fake contact lenses and all to spy on the Fantastic Four from within. But Elijah didn't just pretend, she got comfortable. She manipulated the team, gathered intel for the Skrulls, and fully leaned into the role of Alicia, going so far as to marry Johnny Storm. This wasn't just infiltration, it was emotional warfare. When the truth finally came out, thanks to Alicia's stepfather sniffing something off, the emotional fallout was devastating. Johnny was shattered. Ben was furious. And Elijah? She tearfully admitted the truth and sacrificed herself to save the real Alicia, who had been held prisoner in space the whole time. Elijah eventually returned, claiming her love for Johnny was real, but by then the damage was done. Marvel had taken a love triangle and turned it into a full-blown Skrull soap opera. Trust was broken, friendships cracked, even future storylines like Secret Invasion owe their roots to this personal-scale betrayal. This wasn't just a plot twist. It was a bomb dropped in the heart of Marvel's first family. A story that turned love into espionage. And it left everyone, readers included, questioning whether the person they cared about was even real. Number 7, Resurrection of Jason Todd. There's retconning a death, and then there's punching reality so hard a dead kid crawls his way out of his own grave. That's exactly what happened when DC Comics brought Jason Todd back from the dead, thanks to Superboy Prime throwing a cosmic tantrum. In Batman Annual to number 25, the impossible happened. Jason Todd, the second Robin murdered by the Joker in a death in the family, came back to life. No Lazarus Pit, no magic, just multiversal plot violence. The in-story explanation? During Infinite Crisis, Superboy Prime, locked in a paradise dimension, began smashing the walls of reality in frustration. Every punch rippled through the DC universe, retroactively rewriting timelines. One of those punches rewrote Jason's fate. He didn't die, he woke up in a coffin confused, traumatized, and alone. But Jason's resurrection didn't return the bright-eyed sidekick, it birthed the Red Hood, a lethal vigilante who didn't believe in Batman's no-kill rule and had a long list of people to punish. Gotham's criminals, corrupt cops, even the Joker all found themselves in Jason's bloody sights. His return wasn't just a shock, it was a moral disaster for the Bat family. Batman, who had built his grief around Jason's death, is now shattered all over again. He didn't save his partner, he didn't stop the Joker, and now the boy he failed has become something Bruce can't control. The Bat family fractures. Nightwing, Tim Drake, Barbara, they all struggle with the fact that Jason, once their brother, is now a gun-toting ghost from the past. And let's not forget the bigger mess. Prime's punches didn't just bring Jason back. They also randomly rewrote chunks of continuity, resurrected other dead heroes, and left fans arguing about what was canon and what wasn't. In the end, Jason's resurrection wasn't just a plot twist. It was a full-blown continuity earthquake that turned one of DC's most tragic deaths into one of its most morally messy returns. All because a superpowered teenager had a meltdown. Number 6, Xorn wasn't who you thought. Imagine your favorite soft-spoken teacher with a glowing head turns out to be Hitler with a fake mustache, and then Marvel tells you, just kidding, or are we? That's the Xorn fiasco in the nutshell. In New X-Men number 146, Grant Morrison pulled off one of the wildest twists in X-Men history. The mysterious, gentle Chinese healer named Xorn, who had a mini sun for a brain and was way too chill, was secretly Magneto in disguise. Yep, the same Magneto who had terrorized mutants and humans for decades. It was all an elaborate con. Xorn never existed. The prison he came from? Fake. The powers? Magneto's own electromagnetic tricks enhanced by Kick, a mutant drug with dark side effects. He even faked healing Xavier's spine using micro-sentinels. To be honest, that's dedication. Then, as Xorn, Magneto kicked off one of the darkest events in mutant history. He razed Manhattan, incited riots, led a drugged-up cult, and murdered civilians. Worst of all, he killed Jean Grey, to no one's surprise because she always dies. Cyclops was shattered, the team was torn apart, and mutant kind reeled from the betrayal. This wasn't just an evil plot, it was a full-blown invasion into X-Men's soul. but just when fans started processing it, Marvel said actually, Xorn wasn't Magneto. According to later stories, there were two Xorns, twins of course, and Magneto's behavior was blamed on a clone, an imposter, or some mystical Xorn collective nonsense. Suddenly nothing made sense. Was Magneto ever there? Did Jean really die at his hands? Who was the guy with the star brain? The retcon of the retcon turned Xorn from a shocking twist into a continuity nightmare. The emotional weight of Magneto infiltrating Xavier's school and killing one of X-Men's founders was dulled by the confusion that followed. Readers were left with whiplash. The characters were left traumatized, and trust in both Xavier's dream and Marvel's editorial direction took serious hits. In the end, Xorn's story wasn't just a mask over Magneto, it was a mask over the truth itself. Number 5. Deadly Genesis and Professor X's cover-up. Imagine finding out your beloved teacher secretly sent a bunch of your classmates to die, then wiped your memories so you wouldn't ask questions. That's the core of X-Men Deadly Genesis, where Marvel took Professor X, mutant kind's wheelchair-bound moral compass, and turned him into the architect of one of the X-Men's darkest secrets. Everyone thought the giant-sized team with Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, and others was the first squad Charles assembled to rescue the original X-Men from Krakoa, the living island. Nope. Turns out that was Team 2. The real first team? A group of young, untested mutants. Vulcan, Petra, Sway, and Darwin trained in a rush and launched into battle by Xavier himself and promptly slaughtered. When the mission went sideways, Xavier didn't tell anyone. He erased Scott Summers' memory of the whole thing, buried the truth, and moved on like it never happened. His logic? Better protect morale than admit he played fast and loose with teenage lives. That's not just shady leadership. It's next-level manipulation from a guy who preaches ethics and empathy. This secret stayed buried until Vulcan, long thought dead, explodes back into the scene after being reawakened by the fallout of House of M. He's angry, superpowered, and ready to burn the truth into everyone's minds. Literally. Xavier is forced to admit it. The kids died under his watch, and he covered it up. Not just the deaths, Scott's memories too. And if that betrayal weren't enough, Vulcan murders Banshee as part of his revenge tour, making Xavier's lies even bloodier. The fallout? Massive. Students lose trust, Xavier's golden reputation is toast. The entire dream he built the X-Men on, truth, respect, compassion, feels like a marketing pitch instead of a belief. Deadly Genesis didn't just retcon a mission, it retconned Charles Xavier's soul. It asked, what if the dream was real, but the man behind it wasn't? And suddenly, the line between hero and hypocrite got a lot harder to see. Number 4, Parallax possession of Hal Jordan. What if your favorite space cop didn't go evil? He just had an accident fear demon whispering in his ear the whole time. That's the big twist in Green Lantern Rebirth, where DC hit undo on one of its darkest stories. Back in the 90s, Hal Jordan lost everything when Coast City was obliterated by Mongol and Cyborg Superman. He snapped, like full-on meltdown. In the Emerald Twilight arc, Hal wiped out his fellow Green Lanterns, smashed the all-powerful Central Power Battery, and tried to reset the entire universe during 0 hour. For a whole decade, readers believed Hal just couldn't handle the grief and went full villain. An epic fall from grace that shattered the core and left the galaxy reeling. But then came the retcon hammer. Rebirth revealed that Hal wasn't acting of his own free will. He'd been possessed by Parallax, a fear entity living literally inside the Central Power Battery. That yellow weakness in every Green Lantern ring, it wasn't just a design flaw, it was him. Turns out Parallax been whispering fear and despair into Hal's soul, nudging him toward murder and madness until he snapped. Kyle Rayner, the last Lantern standing, finds all this out from survivors at the edge of the universe, and boom! Hal's no longer a fallen hero, just an unlucky guy with a demon problem. Sounds convenient, right? It was. Because now, the massacre of hundreds of Lanterns? Not Hal's fault. The destruction of the core? Possession. The genocide, the planetary scale breakdown, the timeline-bending crisis in 0 hour? Oops, evil bug. All those deaths, rewritten as a horror movie-style haunting instead of a hero's moral collapse. The retcon made Hal a hero again, sure, but it also neutered the tragedy. He didn't fall, he was pushed. It's like finding out Darth Vader was hypnotized the whole time. Fans were split. Some cheered his redemption, others missed the weight of his guilt. Still, it was one of DC's boldest curveballs, reframing cosmic murder as a bad case of space possession and rewriting one of their greatest heroes back into the light, whether readers liked it or not. Number 3, Phoenix Entity vs. Jean Grey. One of the most famous deaths in X-Men history wasn't even real. In the Dark Phoenix saga, Jean Grey went from a powerful telepath to a cosmic god and then to a galactic mass murderer. She destroyed a star, wiped out the Shi'ar solar system, and killed billions. Overcome with guilt, she ended it all by taking her own life. It was one of the most tragic, gut-wrenching moments in comics. A hero overwhelmed by power, a noble death to save the universe, except that wasn't Jean. Years later, Marvel dropped a retcon so massive it practically burned continuity alive. The entity known as the Phoenix Force wasn't just Jean with a power boost, it was a cosmic parasite that copied her body and mind. While it committed genocide and corrupted everything in sight, the real Jean was chilling in a psychic coma beneath Jamaica Bay, wrapped in a space cocoon like it was nap time. The horrifying meltdown? Not her fault. The tragic sacrifice? Not really her body. Just a doppelganger with galaxy-level mood swings. Grant Morrison's new X-Men run in the early 2000s made it crystal clear. The Phoenix Force is its own thing. Jean was never meant to fall. She was framed by a Firebird god with abandonment issues. The result? Jean's redemption arc, the noble self-destruction, the emotional weight of her guilt, her journey from hero to destroyer to martyr, all of it gets rewritten. The impact of her choices, gone. Her guilt, erased. Her death, technically someone else's. And that stunning moment of self-sacrifice, reduced to cosmic insurance fraud. Sure, it let Marvel bring Jean back without painting her as a war criminal, but it also pulled the emotional rug out from under decades of storytelling. Readers who mourned her fall now had to reprocess it all as a cosmic possession plot twist. In trying to save Jean, Marvel may have saved the character, but at the cost of the story. And somehow in the stars, billions of dead Shi'ar probably aren't too comforted by the technicality. Number 2, Moira McTaggart's multiverse genocide. What if the sweet supportive scientist standing beside Professor X was actually the biggest threat mutant kind ever faced? That's the bomb House of X number 2 dropped in 2019. For over 40 years, Moira McTaggart was just the smart human ally who helped the X-Men and sometimes flirted with the Charles Xavier. No powers, just brains and heart. Then Jonathan Hickman walked in and rewrote her entire existence. Moira had been a mutant the whole time. Her power? Reincarnation, but with a twist. Every time she dies, her life starts over from birth, but she remembers everything. Every mistake, every genocide, every Sentinel uprising, locked and loaded in her brain for the next round. Across 10 lives, maybe more, Moira tried everything. Help Xavier, help Magneto, work with Apocalypse, even ally with humans. Nothing ever ended well. Mutants always lost. So she stopped playing nice. By her later lives, Moira wasn't just a hidden puppet master, she was actively planning mass murder to force a better outcome. She let Genosha burn, she broke her trust with Xavier, and in her final life, she helped create the mutant nation of Krakoa, only to turn on it, sabotaging its resurrection protocols and building a plan to randomly slaughter half of mutant kind. Why? To reboot them, to fix what she saw as their genetic weakness. This isn't just a little betrayal, it's a total rewrite of X-Men history. Suddenly, every major event, Dark Phoenix, the rise of Krakoa, the Sentinels, could have been nudged by a woman playing 5D chess across timelines. And the scariest part, you can't even tell if she's the villain or just desperate. She's watched her people die over and over. How far would you go to stop that? Moira went from being the X-Men's moral compass to their secret executioner. Her story isn't just a retcon, it's a slow burn horror, revealing hiding in plain sight for decades. And now, no one, not even Charles, can be sure if their world is real or just Moira's final desperate gamble. Number 1, Justice League's mind wipe of Sue Dibney's Grape. There are retcons that shift a story, and then there's Identity Crisis, which grabs the heroic myth of the Justice League and drags it face first through the mud. In issue number 2, fans learned that Sue Dibney, beloved wife of Elongated Man, had been graped across the Justice League satellite by none other than Dr. Light. A horrifying event that no one, not even longtime readers, knew had happened. Instead of bringing Light to justice, the League voted to wipe his mind. Zatanna altered his memories, dulled his personality, and basically gave him a magical lobotomy to keep him from ever hurting someone again. But this wasn't just about punishing a villain, it was about keeping the League's own image spotless. That's where things get even darker. Batman showed up mid-spell, saw what they were doing and tried to stop it, so they mind-wiped him too. That's right, the Justice League. The most powerful moral icons erased Bruce Wayne's memories because he didn't agree with their dirty little cover-up. Not only did they betray his trust, they also planted the seeds of his future obsession with surveillance and control, everything that would later manifest in Brother Eye and Infinite Crisis. This wasn't just a one-time lapse. It rewrote the entire Silver and Bronze Age dynamic. Suddenly, all those clean-cut adventures had a sinister shadow hanging over them. What else did the League cover up? How many times did they rewrite history with a spell instead of a trial? The real horror isn't just the assault, it's the silence that followed. The decision to bury the truth corrupted everyone involved. Sue's trauma was overwritten by a political fix. Batman's trauma festered into paranoia. And fans were left asking whether these heroes were ever heroic at all. This retcon didn't just add depth, it injected rot. The kind that stains capes, cracks friendships, and makes you wonder, if the Justice League can't do the right thing, who can? Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.